To Health Matters now, a target set by the federal government to revitalize primary health care centres by the year 2020 got some boosts at the weekend, as the European Union redeemed part of its partnership pledge with the government. 10,000 facilities across the country will be renovated to provide better service to the grassroots. At the official handing over of one of such centres in Abuja, the Minister of State for Health describes the European Union's intervention as an important factor for Nigeria's universal health coverage.
The cutting of this tape symbolizes the official handover of this primary health care center, which was renovated by the European Union to the federal government. The project is part of the EU's pledge of over 100 million euros, also called the EU Sign project, to assist the federal government strengthen primary health care services and reduce maternal and child mortality.
The European Union support to
the Minister of State for Health describes the gesture as a major boost towards achieving the government's goal for universal health coverage.
These projects take us several steps forward in our quest to provide essential health and medical services to all Nigerians in the President's universal health care agenda. As we know, primary health care extended to both rural and urban areas is the backbone of that initiative.
With a record of 69.4 deaths per 1,000 live births, Nigeria remains a major contributor to the global infant mortality and morbidity ratio. And the government's target of reducing this figure by the year 2020 can only be achieved through an efficient primary health care system.
Efforts to increase capacities in the health centers will amount to little if there are no sustained supply of the potent vaccines to give children, mothers, and avoiding problems of stock out at all levels.
The intervention of the EU Sign project around renovation and construction of primary healthcare services, providing cold chain materials, equipment for our vaccines, are really exactly what we need to ensure that Nigerians everywhere have access to safe and potent vaccines.
Funding for healthcare in Nigeria remains among the lowest in Africa, as only 4.13% of the total annual budget for 2016 was allocated to the sector. This is a far cry from countries like Rwanda, Botswana, Zambia, and Burkina Faso, whose health budget averaged 15% of their annual national budget. Health activists are attributing the nation's weak and seemingly non-existing primary health care system to poor financing.
British companies have invested over £470 million in Nigeria in 2017 alone, and that's according to the British Secretary of State for Investment Development, Right Honourable Pt. Patel. The British minister said this at the 4th Nigeria Capital Market and Banking Forum, which took place at the London Stock Exchange today. The event, put together by AfriInvest, was attended by several top government functionaries from Nigeria, as well as the international portfolio managers, all seeking to promote greater ties between Nigeria and the United Nations.
Nigeria just came out of recession, but is there anything to celebrate just yet? That's what most of the participants at this forum would like to know.
Some people like to call me the Minister for Aid. Well, look, I'm very clear about what I do.
And the Nigerian delegation did just that, starting with the CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele, who believes this is a good time for Nigeria to go into strategic alliances with countries like the United Kingdom.
Now, petrodollars has disappeared, and the president said it is time to go back to the farms. And it is already showing results with the support that we have given by making sure that we make funding, financing available, not just to the primary farmers, or not only to the small farmers, we're also providing funding to even private sector, large corporate institutions that are ready to go do farming. Not just about rice. We're looking at sugar, we're looking at maize, we're looking at different other crops and the rest of them.
UK's Secretary of State for International Trade, Pt.3 Patel, shares similar sentiments with the CBN governor. She explains that the power of open markets has brought out the need for such collaborations.
Nigeria is one of DFID's 5 largest programs in the world. But actually, the case that was made to me once again was the need for economic diversification, private sector investment, job creation, effective governance, supporting business, open markets, investment and revenue collection. So, you know, as a politician, I have to obviously get the piece about revenue collection in there too.
Speaker after speaker from the Nigerian delegation presents the opportunities that are available for investors to take advantage of.
I am here basically to elaborate on the focus of the economic recovery and growth plan and how that dovetails into the roadmap for the mining industry that we develop in our sector.
Clearly, Edo State is one of the emerging and very exciting opportunities which we've continued to receive requests and inquiries about. And with our upcoming Alaudaro 2017, which means our investment summit, the first investment summit coming up in November, we felt we should come and expose what we plan to do at this particular event to potential investors.
And what do the investors make of all the presentations?
And the Nigerian government has come to London several times this year, very successfully raising capital. The economy is growing again and is becoming once again a beacon for Africa. And through our partnership with the Nigerian Stock Exchange, we're also looking to expand that into the areas of building market infrastructure in Nigeria, small and medium-sized enterprises, and that all builds on the new unique dual listing partnership we have.
The Nigeria and Banking Forum in London is in its 4th year, and the organisers are optimistic that with the volume of trade between both countries now over £4 billion, there's need to continue to explore areas of cooperation between Nigeria and the United Kingdom in a way that will ultimately improve the economies of both countries.
Let's move on quickly to business news with Melinda Akinlami.
Thank you so much, Gimba. Welcome to Business News. The Central Securities Clearance System has introduced a new settlement solution known as TCS Banks for the clearing and settlement of securities in the capital market. The agency's interim Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Bola Adeko, explains that the change is to improve its performance in the capital market. It replaces the Nasdaq Equator, which has been in use since the company's inception in 1997. The new market infrastructure is expected to provide the ability to support multiple markets and asset classes on the same platform. In the meantime, Mr. Haruna Jallo Waziri has been appointed as the new Managing Director of the Central Securities Clearance System. His appointment takes effect from November the 1st. Mr. Jallo Waziri replaces Mr. Bola Adeko, who was appointed as the interim Chief Executive Officer on January the 1st, 2017, following the early retirement of the company's former CEO, Mr. Yari Buka. It's been a week of earnings and profit-taking at the Nigerian Stock Exchange after investors reacted to the performance of different companies as well as the technical suspension on Owando shares on Monday. The NSE All-Share Index closed the week down by 0.34%, while the market cap rose by 0.20% to 12.6 trillion naira. But all the indices finished lower except for the banking sector, which gained 0.84%. A total turnover of 1.39 billion shares worth 16.4 billion naira were traded, with 3 negative sessions against a 0.73% gain recorded in 2 sessions. The most traded equities for the week are the shares of UBA, Access Bank and FBN Holdings. 2017 has been quite a positive year for the Nigerian capital market as the impressive performance of the quoted companies continue to contribute to the good numbers. While it's time for the investors to recognize these contributions, the Chief Executive Officer of CITC Consulting, Mr. Tayo Orekoya, tells the media that 9 key performance indices have been adopted to determine the reward for each company.
Last years were determined utilizing 9 performance indices, namely turnover growth, returns on equity, earnings yield, share price appreciation, dividend cover, dividend yield, net asset ratio, dividend growth, and profit margin ratio. We are very mindful of the issue of credibility and integrity. And so when and where it is discovered that a company has issues or is undergoing issues, we look at it critically and if need be, step down such companies from being nominated. An example is one of the companies, we will not mention names, that the board decided today to step down to avoid controversy in view of what is ongoing at the moment.
Global ratings agency Fitch has affirmed Kaduna State's long-term foreign and local currency issuer default ratings at B and national long-term rating at A+ with a stable outlook. This reflects the agency's expectations of an improved revenue for the state driven by declining allocations, while stable outlooks show growing direct local taxes and flexible expenditure framework which will allow the state to overcome its structural shortfall. Kaduna is the 3rd most populous state in Nigeria, which drives higher demand for social spending in the medium term. And that's business news. I'm Melinda Akinlami. It's back to you, Gimba.
Governor Ibikunle Amosun of Ogun State has been awarded the most gender-sensitive governor in Nigeria by the Board of Trustees of the Catholic Women Organization. The Secretary to the State Governor, Taiwo Adeoluwa, received the award on his behalf at the Governor's office in Abeokuta, the state capital. The Catholic women thanked Governor Amosun for fulfilling the 35% affirmative action for women by giving them a pride of place in his cabinet.
State has gone a long way. They have moved forward from 6 years ago. The governor has been in office, and the lot of the women has improved a lot. We know because it's public knowledge actually. We know that it's one of the few governors who have gone beyond the specified United Nations 35% affirmation.
In Ogun State is like preaching to the converted. We have more than gone beyond the requirements of affirmative action. His Excellency particularly has that interest of women folk at heart, and that has shown in all that we do here, both in terms of our appointments and in terms of allowing our women to occupy and the very key offices in government. And I want to say with all sense of responsibility that we are also lucky that in Ogun State, all of the women we have given this position of responsibility, they have discharged that responsibility very creditably.
The Enugu State Government has approved the employment of 857 voluntary teachers into the state civil service, with plans to take in 1,000 more in the coming months. They are being absorbed into the civil service to ensure quality in education across the state, especially in rural areas. This decision was announced after the state's Executive Council meeting in the state capital. It was also decided that 243 million naira will be used to upgrade the facilities of a boys' high school and a youth center in Enugu North, as well as another in Enugu West local government areas.
When the new administration took office, an assessment was done, and it was discovered that the retired teachers were too old to be useful, so they were all decommissioned, as it were, leaving about 863 graduate volunteer teachers. Now, what has happened is, after 5 years of continuous service and commitment to the teaching profession, the council decided that no, it's unfair to continue to treat them that way. And so every single one of them, 857 in number that are here now, has become permanent staff of the Enugu State under the PPSMB.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Venus Williams becomes the oldest woman ever to reach the WTA Tour Finals after beating Caroline Garcia 6-7, 6-2, 6-3 to set up a title decider with Caroline Wozniacki. That's the sports news. Stay with us.